Hi Year 5, I hope you're well. I'd just like to start by saying I was really impressed with everyone who had a really good go at the English lesson from last week. We were focusing on using a comma after a fronted adverbial. Now you'll be able to see that the learning objective today is to use commas correctly in a list sentence. I know that everyone in Year 5 is able to do this, so we are going to have a practice. I've written a sentence on the board. It says, you will need a pen, paper and ruler. I wonder what type of sentence this is. I think you should pause the video now and write down what type of sentence you think it is. Yes, well done. It is a list sentence. Now you will notice that we have a colon. The colon is introducing the list. So you will need a pen, paper and ruler. I wonder if you've noticed where I've put my commas. I have a comma after pen, paper, but because we have the word and here, I do not need a comma after the word paper. So we use a comma for all of the other items in a list, apart from the one before the word and. Now, I have a list of things that I think I would need to survive in the rainforest. So I think I might need water, food, a map, and warm clothing. Now this is my turn, so I'm going to have a go and model what I expect you to do in your turn later on. So, I know that my sentence has to involve a list about how to survive in the rainforest. So I'm going to start with, in the rainforest, what am I saying? So, in the rainforest, I'm going to add a fronted adverbial in here because this is where I need it. In the rainforest, you will need. Now, I wonder what type of punctuation I'm going to add in just before I introduce my list. Could you tell me? Yes, that's right, a colon. In the rainforest, you will need water, comma, food, comma, a map, and final one, warm clothing. So, as we always do, let's read it back and make sure it makes sense. So, in the rainforest, you will need, colon, to introduce my list, water, food, a map, and warm clothing. So now this is your turn. I have thought about what you might find in the rainforest. So I thought that you might find dolphins, trees, water and frogs. Now your list might be slightly different. And this is your go. You're going to come back to me and then we're going to have a go together. So our turn, I would like you to think about what it is that you could find in the rainforest. 4 things you could find. You can use my list if you want to. And then I'd like you to have a go at using these things to create a list sentence. So you have a go at that and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, let's have a go. So, I know that we're talking about in the rainforest. So, things that you might find in the rainforest are very simple. So, things you might find in rainforest are I'm about to introduce a list, so I need a colon. Things you might find in the rainforest are, and here I'm going to go on with my list. So dolphins, comma, trees. Oh, I'm running out of room. Water, obviously my full stop to finish my list sentence. So let's read it back to ourselves. So things you might find in the rainforest are colon, dolphins, trees, water and frogs. Okay, now we've revised that and we can remember how to do list sentences and how to introduce a list sentence, and mainly how to use commas correctly in them. I'm going to turn my whiteboard around and show you what I would like you to do before we get started with Miss Taylorson's lesson. Okay, so your turn. I have already thought about things that you could do in the rainforest, so I think that you could explore, you could eat, you could discover new animals, and you could discover new plants. Now what I'd like you to do is create a list sentence using the list of things that you could do in a rainforest. If you can think of better ideas, then feel free to change these items. And remember to use a colon to introduce the list and commas in the correct places to separate the items in a list.
Hi Year 5, it's really great to see you again. Thank you to all of you who sent your work into the Year 5 email address last week. The other Year 5 teachers and I noticed just how hard you had worked on your survival guides, and we thoroughly enjoyed reading through what you had written. I even noticed that some of you managed to include parentheses, so well done to you. Thank you Miss Evans for your work on using commas in a list. That's really going to help us out in English today. We're still going to be focusing on using commas, guys, and we're looking at the next paragraph of our survival guide today. But many of you might be thinking, well, Miss Taylorson, why are we writing a survival guide? I'm not in the wild. Well, no, you're not. You're absolutely right. But luckily for you, I have got the big picture. Are you ready for this? Ta-da! It's a picture frame. Okay, so the reason we're writing a survival guide is because you never know when you're going to be in the wild. You're never going to know when you need to survive outside somewhere without your home comforts. It's also good that we're giving the reader more information. So it's an informational text. That means that whoever our audience is reads this text and they'll have more information about things they need to know in order to survive outside in the world too. It's great as an author to experiment with different styles and genres of writing as well, because it's the best way to find out which style and genre is your favourite type to write. You might also be thinking, why are we using commas? Well, commas help to separate our writing into different parts, and ultimately that makes the meaning clearer and helps the reader understand exactly what's written, and overall makes the sentence easier to read, as it gives it a pause and helps it to break it up. Okay, so before we start writing our next paragraph today, I don't know about you, but it's been a week and I need to refresh my memory. So I'm asking you all now to check back through what you wrote last week. I've got mine here. So I've written my piece of writing up onto a separate piece of paper because I can't fit all of mine on my whiteboard. So here's the paragraph that I wrote last week, and I'm asking us to check back through our work to refresh our memories. That will just help me to understand exactly what paragraph I need to write today, and it will help the same with you. So pause the video now and I'll see you back here after you've read through what you wrote last week. See you in a minute. Well, welcome back. So by checking through my work, I found out that we wrote about needing water for survival last time. So today we're going to focus on finding food in order to survive. Because I don't know about you, Year 5, but if I'd been left in a jungle somewhere, I'm pretty sure I'd begin to get very hungry. And I know there are no supermarkets locally, so I'd have to be very resourceful in order to find food myself. In our topic text, Lila is an expert at knowing exactly what she can eat and cooks up a lot of different jungle delicacies for all of them. So, with that in mind, I have got some questions for you. They're just on the board here. Why would I need to find food? Or think about what our bodies might need it for. What can I eat? And how do I identify what isn't safe to eat? Now that suggests to me that there's a few things out there that would maybe be quite harmful or aren't the best things for us to eat. Okay, so it's our turn. What I'm going to ask you to do now is pause the video again and do some research. Can you find out the answer to these questions? I'm going to do the same, and we'll come back in a few moments once we've found some ideas and some answers to these 3 questions, and we'll share what we've got and see if we've got some similar things to one another. And this is going to help us in our writing because we're going to use the ideas we find for these questions to plan our next paragraph. Okay, Off you go. Let's start. Hey, did you manage to find some answers to the questions? I did too. I've got some things here that I'd like to share with you. Let's see if we've got some ideas that are the same. So my first question was, why would I need to find food? What's that? Yeah, you're right. We'd have to find it because our bodies need it to make all the energy that we have. We also need it for some other reasons though too. To keep ourselves warm, to grow, and in order for our bodies to heal themselves. It's really important. Okay, second question. Now we might have got some different answers here because I found lots of different things that you could find to eat in the jungle. So I've written 6 different ideas-ish down. So I have got fruit, such as banana, coconut and pineapple. And I've also got insects, fish and tarantulas. Now I'm not going to give too many spoilers away, but if you stay tuned on our Year 5 YouTube channel for the chapter of the book The Explorer that's titled Tarantulas, you'll hear all about that delicacy. Okay, and for the final question, what isn't safe to eat? I focused on looking at poisonous plants. Now, there are lots of different poisonous plants out there, but I found 3 points that are really important. The leaves of a poisonous plant are normally in groups or bunches of 3. I didn't know that before I did some research, so I've learned something new today. They also have spikes and thorns and a nasty bitter smell. It's really easy to identify them. Now, before we start writing, we've got our plan of what we can include, and this is going to help me to build each sentence today. So I'm going to build a sentence around each of these points. I'm also going to remind ourselves of the steps to success from last time. So we used a fronted adverbial sentence, a list sentence, which is what you've looked at with Miss Evans today, and we used a relative clause. Okay, now we remind ourselves of that. I also have 2 new exciting words for you to go and research and find the definitions of. They are the words inedible and critical. Can you find the definition of those words? And we're going to have a go at trying to use them in our writing today. Pause the video now, use Google to define them, and I'll meet you back here afterwards. Hey, did you find them? Great work. I've been quite busy while you've been away, and I've had a go at writing most of my example for our paragraph today. I'm going to read the first sentence, then I'm going to have a go at writing the second sentence, which would be our list sentence on our steps to success. So the first sentence is a fronted adverbial, the second sentence is a list sentence, and the third sentence is using a relative clause. I'm going to do that with you here though, so it's my turn now, and I'm going to have a go at writing our list sentence. Now a list sentence includes a colon before you list all of the items in that sentence, and each item is separated by a comma until the last one where you separate them with the word and. Now I'm going to use the second question that we looked at today, which was what can I eat? So that's because I found quite a few items that I could actually eat whilst I'm in the wild. That included things like fruit, insects, fish and tarantulas. So already by listing those things, I've started to make my list sentence. So hopefully it should be fairly simple to put together, and I know you guys are going to be pros at it. Okay, so I need to think about my first sentence that I've written and how I would follow it on. Next, it would be of vital importance that food is discovered, as this will help to maintain the body's energy levels. Okay, with the big list of things that I found, there was more items I could have chosen when I looked online when I was doing my research. I think it'd actually be fairly easy to locate things in the wild. So I might start by saying that food could be located quite easily and would include items such as, oh, that sounds like a good way to start my list sentence. I think I'm going to write that down. Food in the jungle. Jungle can be located quite easily and would include items such as. Here is where I'm going to use my colon. So I'm going to put that in there, my colon, and then I'm going to start listing my items. So such as fruit. I'm not going to list the different types of fruit because there's lots of things. I'm just going to use the overall term fruit. So just fruit, fish, insects and cooked tarantulas. I think that works quite well. Now between each of those points, I need to make sure I've got my comma. So I'm going to write my, okay? So such as fish, fruit, insects. Oh, I remembered one more. Some green seaweed was something I found. Green and tarantulas. Okay, so now I've finished my work, it's really important that we read back through and check to make sure that we've not made any mistakes. So we might be looking for missing punctuation or spellings. We might be looking for any words that we could up-level or change to improve our writing. And we need to make sure we've included all of the steps to success. So I'm going to read through my work, and then hopefully it's going to be our turn and you're going to help me to edit a few bits and pieces, maybe some things that I might have missed. And then we're going to see if I can up-level and improve it. So, next, it would be of vital importance that food is discovered, as this will help to maintain the body's energy levels. Food in the jungle can be located quite easily and would include items such as fish, fruit, insects, green seaweed and tarantulas. It is critical to identify what is not safe to eat in the wild, as lots of plants that are poisonous would be deadly if consumed. Poisonous plants tend to have leaves in groups of 3, as well as a bitter smell. Pointed parts, like thorns or spikes, mean it is inedible. Okay, so I'm quite happy with my work, but I think there are a few things I need to fix. What's that, you agree? Okay, yes, you're right, there is something I've missed right in my first sentence. Let's have another look at it. Next, it would be of vital importance. Oh, I think I've spotted it already. What's that? Yes, you're right. I need a comma after my fronted adverbial. Well done for using your knowledge from last week to help you. Okay. I'm also happy with most of the punctuation everywhere else, but I think that I should include another comma down here in my parenthesis because I paused. So I've said pointed parts, like thorns or spikes, mean it's inedible. So I was giving more detail. Okay, brilliant. Now, everything else seems fine, but I'm going to try and up-level part of my work now. I'm going to change the word deadly, and I'm going to use the word fatal instead. So I'm going to circle that word in my work, and I'm going to write just the word fatal above it. Brilliant. Okay. I think overall I'm quite happy now. Thanks guys for helping me out. So now it's your turn. I would like you to have a go at writing your paragraph about food for your survival guide. Now just to remind you, you are writing the paragraph underneath your work from last time. I've written mine on here so you can see it a lot clearer, but I'll write mine up on here later. So you're starting a new paragraph underneath the one from last week. Okay. Remember to think about our steps to success. They are to use a fronted adverbial, they are to use a list sentence and a relative clause. Think about the questions that we set earlier too. So why do we need food? What can I eat? And is there anything that isn't safe to eat? I've also got some chili challenges for you. Are you ready? So chili 1 is to complete the 3-sentence challenge. So that's our steps to success. So can you use that fronted adverbial, the list sentence and the relative clause? Chili 2 is to apply your knowledge of parenthesis this week. So that's when we use brackets, dashes or commas to add extra information to our sentences. So I'd like to see an example of that in your work as well. And chili 3 is to read through your paragraph and edit any words. Can you level anything? Can you find any missing punctuation? Just go back and have a look through, like we would do in school with our purple polishing pens. Now, I didn't have a purple pen, but I just went back and I edited through my work anyway. Perhaps for chili 3, you could look at the year 5-6 word list and can you include any of those words in your work? If you haven't got one of those at home, you can find it on the Twinkle website. It's completely free for your parents to sign up to and download it. Okay, so it's your turn. Don't forget to email your work to the Year 5 email address, as the other Year 5 teachers and I would love to see what you have written. Okay, off you go. Use all the things that we've said in this video to help you, and I can't wait to see your work. Take care. Bye.